A circular patch sewn onto the left arm of a jacket. That patch adds over $1,000 to the price. The jacket underneath it costs between $150 and $300 to produce. We rank 10 jacket brands from ripoff to real value. 5 are charging you for patches, logos, and ownership changes that gutted the product. 5 are charging you for waxed cotton, full-grain leather, and construction methods that have not changed in over a century. Same closet. Opposite value. Starting with a brand that lost its heritage the moment it changed owners. Number 10. Woolrich. The men who felled timber in Minnesota winters trusted this jacket with their lives. The hunters who tracked elk in Montana blizzards wore it for decades without complaint. Founded in 1830, Woolrich is one of the oldest outdoor brands in American history. It made wool blankets for Civil War soldiers. That is 190 years of heritage, and nearly all of it has been sold off. Woolrich ownership has changed 3 times since 2016. Each acquisition repositioned the brand further from its origins. The rugged American outdoor company became a premium Italian lifestyle label. The price stayed at $400 to $900. When a brand changes hands 3 times in under a decade, the product is no longer the priority. The heritage story is the asset. Each new owner extracts a little more from that story while investing a little less in what hangs on the rack. Number 9. The North Face. Specifically the Nuptse. Not the Alpine line, not the Summit series, not the gear built for mountaineering expeditions in the Himalayas. That equipment is legitimate and earns its price. The Nuptse puffer is a different product. It retails for $300 to $380. At $350, it competes directly against the Patagonia down sweater at $280, with 800 fill traceable down. It also competes against the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer at a similar price, with superior warmth-to-weight performance. The Nuptse does not win on fill power. It does not win on weight. It does not win on packability. What it wins on is the half-dome logo on the chest. That logo turned a puffer jacket into an urban status symbol. At $350, you are not paying for the best insulation at that price. You are paying for the most recognizable patch. If you want to know what is actually inside the brands you are buying, subscribe. We test the construction so you do not have to. Number 8. Belstaff. In 1924, a company in Staffordshire, England, started making waxed cotton jackets for motorcyclists. The trial master became a legend. Steve McQueen wore Belstaff in The Great Escape. The brand defined a genre of outerwear that every motorcycle jacket since has tried to replicate. Then came the ownership carousel. A chemical company acquired Belstaff. Losses mounted to $147 million, mostly owed back to the same company. Then a sportswear firm acquired it from the chemical company in a deal that saw the chemical company take a stake in the buyer. There have been 3 corporate owners. None of them were founded in outerwear. None of them built around waxed cotton or motorcycle heritage. Jackets still retail for $500 to $1,500. The brand that Steve McQueen made famous now belongs to a sportswear company that bought it from a chemical company. Heritage without continuity is not heritage. It is a brand name passed between boardrooms like an asset on a spreadsheet. Number 7. Moncler. Stand outside any Moncler boutique on a cold morning and watch who is wearing this jacket. Most of them are not going anywhere cold enough to need 700 fill down. The jacket is not the point. Being seen in the jacket is the point. Here is one number that explains everything. 78.1%. That is Moncler's confirmed gross profit margin for 2024. For every $1,000 you spend on a Moncler jacket, approximately $220 covers the materials, the labor, and the down inside it. The remaining $780 covers everything else: marketing, retail operations, corporate overhead, and profit. Moncler jackets retail for $1,000 to $2,500. The red, white, and blue arm patch functions identically to the arm disc on a Canada Goose parka. It is a visibility marker, a signal to everyone around you that you spent 4 figures on a puffer. The insulation does not require that price. The construction does not require that price. The patch does. Number 6, Canada Goose. The biggest offender on this list and the clearest math in outerwear. A Canada Goose parka retails for $1,000 to $2,000. The company's fiscal year 2024 gross margin, 68.8%, is confirmed in their public filings. Estimated production cost per parka is $150 to $300, including materials, labor, and downfill. At $1,500 retail. The gap between what it costs to build and what it costs to buy is over $1,000. That gap has a shape. It is circular. It sits on the left arm of every jacket. The Fjallraven Expedition down jacket retails for $600. It uses ethically sourced down and has a fully repairable shell designed for Arctic conditions. At $600, it outperforms Canada Goose on warmth to weight ratio and costs $900 less. At $1,500, you are buying $200 of jacket and $1,300 of brand. The patch is the product. The parka is just the delivery mechanism. That is not an opinion. That is the margin report. 5 brands, 5 patches, 5 prices the construction could never justify. But this video is not about what to avoid. It is about what still works. 5 jacket makers, where the price is in the jacket, not on it. Number 5. Barracuda. In 1937 in Manchester, England, the Miller brothers created a jacket. Short and lightweight with a stand-up collar, 2 slanted pockets, an elastic waistband, and a Fraser tartan lining in red and blue. They called it the G9. The world called it the Harrington. Every Harrington jacket, from any brand at any price, is a copy of this silhouette. James Dean wore it. Steve McQueen wore it. Frank Sinatra wore it. Barracuda still makes it. Still in England. Still with the Fraser tartan lining that has been inside every G9 since 1938. Retail. $400 to $500. This is not a brand charging for a logo. This is the brand that invented the shape every competitor borrows. At that price, you are buying the original. Number 4. Schott NYC. Irving Schott made the first one in 1928 on the Lower East Side of New York. He sold it to a department store for $5.50. Today it sells for $700. The factory is in Union, New Jersey. The price changed. Nothing else did. Marlon Brando wore it in The Wild One. The Ramones adopted it as a uniform. Every leather motorcycle jacket designed since is a descendant of this one. More than 100 employees. More than 100 years of continuous American production. No outsourcing. No offshore manufacturing. The leather is full-grain steer hide, chrome tanned and drum dyed. The jacket starts stiff and breaks in over the years, developing a patina unique to how you wear it. Most heritage brands sell the story of where they started. Schott still operates there. That is the difference between a legacy and a marketing campaign. Number 3. Private White VC. Most people watching this have never heard this name. That is by design. Private White VC does not advertise. No billboards, no celebrity campaigns, no influencer deals. The name comes from Private Jack White, a soldier who earned the Victoria Cross for gallantry in World War I. He returned from Mesopotamia. He took an apprenticeship at a garment factory built in 1853. He could have done anything. He chose this. His great-grandchildren returned the company to family ownership in 2007. Every garment is made under one roof in that same Manchester factory. Cutting, sewing, finishing, quality control. Nothing is outsourced. Nothing is licensed. The materials include Ventil cotton, originally developed for Royal Air Force pilots in World War II, a tightly woven fabric that swells when wet and seals against water without synthetic coatings. Jackets retail for $400 to $800, the same range as Moncler's entry tier. Every dollar goes into the materials and labor in a single building in Manchester. No arm patch, no ownership carousel, just a factory named after a war hero, making jackets the same way for over a century. Number 2. Macintosh. In 1823, in Glasgow, Scotland, a chemist named Charles Macintosh discovered that dissolving rubber in naphtha created a waterproof adhesive. He bonded 2 layers of cotton together, with liquid rubber pressed between them. That invention did not just create a brand, it created a word. The Macintosh entered the English dictionary as a synonym for raincoat. 200 years later, the word is still in the dictionary, and the factory is still in Scotland. Macintosh coats are made in Cumbernauld, Scotland. The bonding process is done by hand. Cotton is cut, sewn, and sealed with rubber adhesive applied along every seam. The method has not changed in nearly 200 years. The rubberized cotton improves with wear instead of degrading. Hermes has used Macintosh fabrics in its own collections. Handmade Scottish raincoats retail for $600 to $1,500. At that price, you are paying for handmade construction, 200 years of unchanged methodology, and a fabric that literally changed what a coat could do. And finally, number 1. Barbour. If you watched our Buy It for Life video, you already know why Barbour earned its spot on that list. It earns the top of this one for the same reasons, and one more. Founded in 1894 in South Shields, England. Royal warrants from 3 members of the British royal family. Waxed cotton that is waterproof, windproof, and repairable. A lifetime rewaxing and repair service that restores your jacket no matter how long you have owned it. Not assembled in England. Made in England. For men over 50 watching this, the Barbour waxed jacket is a familiar name. Your father may have owned one. If he did, it is probably still in someone's closet today. Here's the comparison that defines this entire video. A Canada Goose parka at $1,500. A 68.8% gross margin. A circular arm patch and no repair program. A Barbour wax jacket at $350 to $500. A lifetime repair and rewaxing service. Royal warrants. 130 years of continuous production in the same region of England. Barbour costs less than every brand on the wrong side of this list, and outlasts all of them. The men who own these jackets do not talk about them much. They have worn the same Barbour through 20 winters, and sent it back to South Shields twice for rewaxing. They own a shot Perfecto that is 30 years old and still breaking in. They watched their father pull on a Barbour to walk the dog in October, and then wore it themselves. These are not men collecting logos. They are men collecting years. 5 patches. 5 products. The patch fades. The product does not.